Hello, fellow Hort heads, and congratulations to being PPA Foundation Scholarship Winner 2020. I apologize, I've got my COVID hair, I'm exhausted, and it's just been a heck of a year, but one thing we don't forget is how much we love plants. So again, congratulations to you. I got a couple of notes I'm going to read because I'm too tired to do it off the cuff. So you were great candidates, and I'm so glad you were selected. Thank you. My name is Nancy Allen, and I'm a board member of the Perennial Plant Foundation, but I'm also the Western Region Director of the Perennial Plant Associations. Perennial plants are a passion of mine, and I hope are one of yours as well. A little bit about my background. My grandparents and my mom were very inspirational to me with their gardens, and plants absolutely fascinated me. I would spend time on weekends at a local greenhouse in the houseplant section, just walking through the benches and being fascinated at the diversity of plants. At that time, it was my dream to have a conservatory. Instead, when I moved out on my own, the second bedroom of my little apartment became my conservatory, and it was a great place to dream away. What I also want to tell you is how diverse the world of horticulture is. There are so many interesting directions your career can take, so my advice is be open to the world of opportunity, and whatever comes your way, do consider it. I've had a few different roles over the course of my career. A brief bit of information on my background. I grew up in the beautiful Garden State, and in the north part of the Garden State, which would really be the greater New York metro area. As I headed into college, I was very much into the outdoors and nature, and I'd already selected forestry as my major. I was one of the few women in the forestry school at UVM. But as I pursued my education, I realized that forestry was really not what I wanted in a career, so I redirected. Out of school, I ended up working at a law firm, which was also very fascinating for me. And this all ties together in a bit. When I moved across the country from New Jersey to Washington State, finding a job in the law industry was a bit of a challenge. And part of it was because I had a great Jersey accent, okay? And they're like, who is this? So my first role ended up being a retail manager of a small seasonal garden center. So that was very cool. And from there I went to a large wholesale annual and perennial grower where I stayed for 26 years. We grew finished product as well as liners. I started as an order puller, moved into the role of shipping manager, and was a territory sales rep for most of my time there. My territory was awesome. It included Alaska, Montana, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. When the family-owned company was sold, I was asked to be project manager for a new software installation. That required me knowing the entire business from cradle to grave. So we mapped it out and ended up with a system that helped propel our business along as it continued to grow. My next role was even more fascinating as I worked with a breeder agent and breeders around the world to bring their new perennials to market. That was so cool. I would travel around and see the playpens of breeders around the US and in Europe. It was fascinating to see the aspects plant breeders were working on. I worked with the breeders and national growers to get plants into trial and then determine the hardiness thresholds of their plants. If those plants were deemed worthy, we worked with selected growers to bring those plants to commercial numbers and obviously into market. That involved working with cutting farms and tissue culture labs. At the same time, our office would submit plant patent application for those superior plants. Royalty revenue, was one of our sources of funding. After that role, I ended up at a tissue culture lab. We did perennials and grasses in the lab. The dust-free air in the lab was just so amazing to breathe, having left a greenhouse. I never did any of the actual cutting in the lab, but regularly had to check on tubs of plantlets to see if they were ready to ship. It was an amazing experience to see how clonal plantlets grow so perfectly. We are also working to establish bamboo as a forestry to fiber opportunity. Since bamboo grows fast and selective logging keeps bamboo forests alive as opposed to having to replant after a clear cut and waiting a number of years to log that area. As you may know, most of the bamboo in the U.S. is imported. We felt like we should grow more in the U.S., and while there are bamboo farms around, there are not as many as we would like to have seen. So then I went on to another role, and that was as sales manager as a large grower in the West Coast. That was fantastic too. We pretty much shipped to the whole United States. My current incarnation is I work with 5 large growers who are brand and patent owners. My role is to help educate growers on the proper use of trademarks, and the differences between a trademark and a patent are significant. But one key difference is that a plant patent expires in 20 years, and the plant patent clock starts ticking as soon as the first time that plant is represented for sale. So if that's a 5-year crop, you really don't get a whole 20 years of royalty revenue. And it also takes a while to bulk up to a commercial number. Patent law in the U.S. is very strong, and illegal propagation, when discovered, can essentially close down the offender along with significant fines. Excuse me. Trademarks can last forever as long as the trademark owner is defending the trademark. So I am a trademark defender. That is essentially my role. Once a trademark becomes generic, which you'll know a couple of these, the owner potentially loses the right to that trademark. A couple examples include aspirin, that was a trademark name. Escalator was a trademark name, as was trampoline. Through all the diverse experiences I've had, I remain absolutely passionate about perennials. The public gardens, private gardens, natural gardens, growers, retailers, all have amazing perennials to enjoy. I especially like to try plants that are not typically found in my region and to try and push the limits on how they will perform. The people in the perennial industry are absolutely the best, and we're a big family. So every year when we get together at the Perennial Plant Symposium, it's like a gigantic family reunion. You will be adored, loved, and come to be a part of our family, and we look forward to getting to know you. If you have any questions or you want to talk to me further, I'm happy to have you reach out to me. Again, my name is Nancy Allen. My email is loneoak6496@gmail.com, LONEOAK6496@gmail.com. Again, my heartfelt congratulations to you, our class of 2020. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to meeting you.